Do you love drama as much as I do? Plot shifts and heart-pounding turns will keep you enthralled in the new book, Soiled Sheets by Phoenix Ash. Dana and Marshall are drawn to each other, but their flame has a tendency to burn and splinter all that once mattered, quite possibly even each other. Will they make it through the debris or become part of the ruins? Find out when you purchase your copy of Soiled Sheets by Phoenix Ash, now available via Amazon Books and all Kindle devices, and it's free with Kindle Unlimited.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's go. Where Brooklyn at? Where Brooklyn at? Where Brooklyn at?
Well, actually, I live in Delaware now, so does that make me a Delawarean?
Keep singing, girl.
You know, Beyonce is my friend in my head. Jay my people sometimes, too.
Yeah. I mean, like, be true, man.
You know, when I was a kid, I had an imaginary enemy. Like, does that make me crazy?
Life as P, presented by Say What Radio.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Life is P. I'm your host, Phoenix Ash. Thank you so much for joining me. If this is your first time, what's up? How you doing? Glad you found me. If you are a repeat listener, welcome back. Thank you. I love you. I told you we fam. So, I had a bunch of new experiences lately, and I was just looking back over my life and reflecting on who I am and what I've done or haven't done, and thinking to myself how different I seem from what had become my stereotype. And I think a lot of us have a stereotype, not necessarily a stereotype like culture-based or gender-based or choice-based, but a personal stereotype. Whereas like people say, yeah, that's her, or yeah, that's him. And you know, you have this general persona that everybody can recognize the details of. And when they see anything similar, they immediately identify it as you. And if you have not had that, thank God for that, because it's a very difficult thing to shake. If you have had it and it's been positive, thank God for that too, because I think we all are sort of building towards that, trying to create this positive persona. And at least for myself, make sure it's authentic all the way through. So if I seem like a God praiser, it's because I'm a God praiser in my house. If I seem like I speak life into your life, it's because I'm practicing speaking life into mine. If it seems like I'm supporting your dreams, it's because I'm also supporting mine. So I'm trying to build my outside to look like what my heart truly feels like. And I'm thinking about networking, and I went to Seattle for a training, and I was there a couple of days. And on the first day, I was roaming around looking for something to eat. And I was like, oh, there's a Johnny Rockets nearby. Let me just walk over there. And the guy at the door said, nah, there's a better burger joint. It's around the corner. It's all plant-based. This is great. And it sounds great, sounds wonderful, nice and healthy, better for me, better for the environment, all of that. But I go there, and they got like 2 burgers on the menu. It just wasn't enough choices for me. And it's so funny because I may still get a cheeseburger, but I want to see all the beautiful things you can do with a cheeseburger. So anyhow, that's just me. I love choice. And yes, I do love choice all the way through. Anyhow, I decided to go back in the opposite direction and walk to Johnny Rockets anyway. While I'm walking towards Johnny Rockets, it actually looks like it's a busier intersection. And it dawns on me that, you know, I should take my husband's advice and I should go buy myself a case of water and some snacks and stuff for the room so that I'm not being upcharged, taking stuff out the room, and so that I'm not sort of like held hostage to doing whatever's in the hotel or nearby or going to Starbucks or whatever, because that's my only option. So luckily, I went towards Johnny Rockets because I found a drugstore. I was able to fill up. I bought a wine spritzer there. It was disgusting, but whatever. That's just me and my personal taste. I made it into I guess it's like a Galleria. I forgot what it's called, but it's a building, but it's like a mall, but it's kind of like, it's not spread out. And it goes upwards rather than outwards. Anyhow, I go in and Johnny Rocks is on the top floor. So as I'm riding the escalator, I've had what I guess is like, I think it's an art store. So I'm like, oh, an art store. And they have these beautiful images on the wall of Black art. And I'm like, oh my God, I got to see that when I come back down. So I stuffed my little food in the bag after ordering and everything. And after making nice conversation with the people behind the counter, I go downstairs and it looks like they're all sitting in a circle, the people in this art group. And I feel sort of like, am I interrupting something? But I don't know if they're open the next day. And I'm looking at the sign, it's called Onyx. And there may be more to its name, but Onyx is the part that I remember because that's the part that resonated. And I go in and I just point just a little bit, like, I just want to see some of the art. And they're like, yeah, come in. And I guess they're just finishing up and they're doing a raffle. And so they invited me to take a straw out the bag and participate in the raffle. I did not win after like 4 tries, but they included me and it felt so warm and so welcoming. And I'm looking at the art, like I'm literally almost like I'm in tears because the art is so beautiful. And I know that had my mother been alive, this is the place that she would love to be in. We'd have these pieces on our walls. If my mother and her pockets were alive, my pockets are not alive to that point just yet. But to see this art and to see that, I think Swiss Beats collects a lot of art. Swiss, yo, you need to check out Onyx in Seattle. Beautiful pieces. But anyhow, they're just gorgeous pieces. And the people there have these wonderful spirits. And I'm asking about the art and they're talking to me, asking me about what I do. And we're conversing and we're exchanging information, exchanging websites and Facebook names. And one photographer, her and I just really connected. We exchanged phone numbers, planned to see each other later on in the week. And it got me to thinking, like, who is this person? Who am I? Because I'm like, isn't this networking? And I've always said that I've hated it. And I don't know if you've seen any of my social media posts, but immediately after I posted to talk about how I typically hated networking. And I was comfortable and it reminded me again, so my memories go layers deep sometimes, guys. So that reminded me of when I went to Hawaii and how I connected with these wonderful souls and, made very good friendships and relationships. That was last year. I still talk to these people to this day. I actually made an additional friend who wasn't there, but was a very close friend of my friend who passed away. And we forged a connection. So it was just, the network just continues to spread. And I'm trying to figure out like what shifted in me, what changed that allowed me to connect to these people and allowed me to show up as someone they would want to bring in and that they would want to connect to. And I figured it out. It's the fact that I'm comfortable with me. There are some things about myself that I'm still working on that I'm a bit uncomfortable about, but for the most part, I'm comfortable with me. I'm comfortable with the work that I've done. I'm comfortable with the effort I put forth, with my dreams, with my goals, accomplishments. I feel like I am definitely putting the work in and I'm starting to see some very good results. And I'm meeting some great people who I love as family almost instantaneously. And it sounds like, oh, you're just too trusting or whatever. But I told you guys before, I have discernment. So I'm not just like latching on to everybody's pocket and, like, hey, take me with you wherever you go. It's not that. And I'm thinking about the people that I've met who don't seem as confident, who seem insecure, who seem embarrassed by what direction they are either going in or where they've come from. And I think what I would like to say is know enough about yourself to not feel threatened. And that would have been such important advice too when I was like in high school and college, but it probably would have been rejected, right? Because people who I think were threatened by me were not comfortable with certain things within themselves to even realize that I was not comfortable with me. So There was no reason for you to feel threatened by me. There was no reason for you to think that my light eyes, long hair, and big hips was going to do anything that was going to make your life worse. Nothing. Because I was still getting accustomed to owning that and still taking charge of who I am and what I look like and not being embarrassed by it. I came up at a time where, although light skin, light eyes, and thick full hair was something that men chased, women downed because I was sort of the epitome of like what passed and what seemed preferable. And I came up at a time where there was a rebellion against that, where people were starting to take ownership of what they looked like, be proud of it, and be unapologetic. And I support that 100% because I needed that movement in order to feel that way about myself. However, it took me a lot of time to get up to that because I also had to fight the backlash of looking like what had always been accepted. And I still don't feel like I look like what had always been accepted, right? Because I've always been a little heavier than my friends or the people around me. So I've always had that battle. And there was a man, my uncle was in my house who would point out all my flaws. So I was overly aware of every flaw that I've had, and then creating some myself. So there was no reason anyone should feel threatened by me and no reason I should feel threatened by them. If I had recognized their discomfort with themselves or their struggle within themselves, maybe I would have been different in terms of how I handled them rather than, jabbing back with my words or, going to take boxing lessons and be like, all right, well then if you're ready to brawl, I'm ready to brawl. If, there could have been some other way, but we were kids. And we didn't share everything with our parents. A lot of people are like, where are your parents? It's like, come on, kids, we don't share everything with our parents. So they don't necessarily know that we're having this crisis of identity happening in school. But as I got older and as I've gone through my pain and my trauma and committed to healing from all of that and committed to using that as a way to push myself forward, giving it purpose, despite the purpose God has already given it, I'm giving it additional purpose and making it work for me and turning it into something good, turning it into something that's less painful, that's more victorious, that I can share with someone else. And I think that comfort and that pride sort of shines when you walk down the street, when you walk into a room, and people are not intimidated by that. They want some of that. I mean, there's always going to be people who are. Okay, I get that. But those are the people who are uncomfortable or trying to figure out their own shine. And they're spending a lot of time pointing out their own flaws and looking at what's wrong with them. So, of course, the first thing they're going to see is what's wrong with you. They're looking for your flaw because they're looking for their own. They're very aware of what's wrong with them. But if you know enough about yourself, if you know enough about your strength, if you know enough about your ability to recover from what anyone does to you, if you know enough about your heart and its true intentions, if you know enough about your craft, the thing that you've studied, the thing that you've put your effort into, the thing that you're working tirelessly to progress, the thing that connects you to other people who are also working on this same craft, if you know enough about it, you are comfortable with reaching out to other people. You're okay if people decline the connection. You're okay. Like, okay, they didn't want to connect. All right. Okay, I'm hurt for a second, but okay, I can move on. You know what I mean? Because for everyone that doesn't, there's one that does. And it's always the most unlikely of people. Every once in a while you get a likely person, but the unlikely people that you're like, I don't even remember how I met you. I don't know. I don't know who introduced us. I don't know. I don't know the circumstance. I don't know, but I love you. And that's what I know. I don't know, or I do know how I met you, but I'm not sure how this connection actually built. I can't really trace the line. I just know that at this point in time, we're bonded, we're intertwined, and I love it. Those are wonderful connections, and I think they come about when you know enough about yourself to be comfortable in someone else's presence, comfortable enough to share your story, share your pain, share your plight, share your victory, and share your intention. I think I've always hated networking because people would create like a stage to network on and have these networking events, which I still, very rarely attend because I truly don't know how to work the room with the simple purpose of working the room. I don't. I'm always thinking that people don't maintain connections when they think that you are connecting to them for one particular purpose, and that's to further your career. And I don't feel like I'm wrong because I've been to those events. I've connected to those people. And although we've had conversation and, okay, what can I do to help you? Or I can say, what can I do to contribute? And we talk about it and we get a few things down. Very few of those relationships have built themselves into something or become lifelong things. And maybe they just were at the wrong time. I do think that people who have opportunity available are interested in those networking events and people who are coming looking for those opportunities, but they're focused. And it probably just means I need to put my fears aside and say, look, there are people here who know that this is what this is for. So go out and forge that connection. And maybe one day I will be comfortable enough with myself to do that. However, in the meantime, I'm going to find me an agent who can do it on my behalf and make some introductions because I am addicted to relationship. And I'm like, I love real rooted relationships because I feel like relationships are the thing that make people refer you, that make people speak your name, that keep you top of mind because you're like part of them, part of what they do. They genuinely connect you to something and believe in you or see your effort. There's something that connects. And even if it's, just one dot that connects, that's fine. It's still some type of relationship. But when there's no connection, when it falls flat, and it's strictly just, for business and the person doesn't want to just be contacted by a billion people for business because of their position, I feel like there's a lot of rejection that's happening before you even say your name. And, I don't know how to overcome that altogether. So I'm just being honest. I don't, which is why I say, I'm comfortable with myself, but there are things that I want to work on. But that for me, I'm just like, I can't do it. Not at this point in my life. I also, though, am aware that once you do some work, that you become elevated and able to go to the next level, and levels that you thought you would never attain become attainable because you've worked to a certain point where that is now the logical next step. It is not the logical next step for me right now. So right now, I'm just going to be good with my random meetings, God placing people in my life who connect to what I do, connect to what I feel, and share their stories with me and invest their details in our conversation. I love details. I love when people tell me where they're from, what they do, what made them come to this point in their lives, where they live. I want to know everything. I want to know what your house look like. I mean, I'm not a stalker, so I'm not going to ask you what your house look like, but my mind is like, ooh, what does it look like? What is it like to live there? What is it like to do this and do that? So that is me. But I feel like there is a level of comfort that comes with knowing yourself that stops you from being threatened. It's one thing to not necessarily go out and talk to someone or whatever. It's another thing to not talk to them because you feel intimidated by them, because you feel like they're bigger than you, they're better than you, they're more accomplished than you. That's the reason you need to go talk to them. You need some mentoring, you need some partnership, you need a circle of people who got some iron so you can sharpen yours and find out how you can sharpen theirs. That's what you need. But you're going to feel threatened by them, intimidated by them, if you are not comfortable with yourself. If you don't know yourself enough and don't know the value of what you've put in enough, you are constantly going to feel intimidated. You are constantly going to feel inadequate, like you are not enough. You have to know yourself, have to know the value in which your work is to you. Like, what does it mean to you? If you met someone who matched your effort, would that be something you valued? I know if I met someone who matched my effort, I would treasure them because I'd be like, I know how hard you're working. Thank you, child. And I'd be like, yes, I want to connect to you. So I know the value of what I'm putting in. So I don't feel intimidated. I am like, if there's too much wall to break down, I'm like, listen, I'm going to go somewhere where the wall is not as thick. And I'm going to work that angle. And maybe I'll come back stronger to work this other angle. But let me let me go do that. But it's not because I'm intimidated by you. It's not because I think you're so accomplished that you don't have the time or space to. And sometimes it could just be me thinking to myself what you think of yourself, and I could be totally wrong. I could be. Particularly if I've never had a conversation with you. I have discernment, but it doesn't happen by just looking at you. It really doesn't. So just putting it out there. But like I said, know yourself enough to not be threatened. Know the value of your work. Know your comfort level. Know that you're okay, that, you're fine. And if you're not fine yet, you're working towards it, and that's okay too. Invite those people in and be okay with them saying no or rejection. Or listen, as a writer, do you know how comfortable I had to get with rejection? Honey, don't nobody want to read the manuscript. Don't nobody want to offer no contracts until I went out and self-published. Then sending a query didn't seem as difficult. Getting a response didn't seem as difficult either. Getting offered contracts didn't seem as difficult. I was like, wait, what was the problem? I just had a problem with this. But my query reads differently. I have more pride. There's accomplishments in there. Before it was this scared, okay, I'm trying to be a writer. I want to be a writer. I wrote this manuscript. If you could please look at it. And yeah, I went to school. That's. And there was someone who came to me years ago and was like reciting things that I had done in the past that was relating to articles or published stories that I totally forgot about. Plays that I had worked on. All these things that could have easily went into my query and sold me as a writer. Forgot about them because I was so thinking one way about being an author, and that I just hoping that I measured up and hoping, and I was coming from the wrong angle. Now, my queries now are like, listen, this is what I've done for myself. This is what I would like you to do for me. And this is what I would like to do for you. It doesn't sound as crass, but basically that's the gist of it. I had a girlfriend tell me, she was like, listen, no, don't come into this query letter all like shy. This is the time to brag on yourself, boast on yourself, tell them how badass you are. And, I said, okay. I was nervous, but I wrote it and I felt good. And it came out so well, I just copied and pasted to everybody else that I queried to. And I got a number of responses. And so I'm feeling good about this newfound freedom of knowing myself and being comfortable enough to strike up conversation, to accept the love that someone is giving me, even if I just met them, and exchange information and be hopeful. And maybe they won't turn into anything. Maybe they'll forget me in a few weeks, or maybe not. Maybe they'll go to Amazon and buy my novel in her makeup, or buy Soiled Sheets, or buy Long Neck Bottles on Amazon Kindle and Audible. Maybe they will listen to my podcast. Maybe they will pick it up on Spotify, Google Play, or iTunes. Maybe they'll follow me on Instagram at P Writes, or follow me on Twitter at P Writes, or link up with me on Facebook at Phoenix Ash. Maybe you're one of them. Maybe I'm looking to connect to you. Maybe you're looking to connect to me. Let's, send me some conversation. What's up? What's going on? Talk to me. Anyhow, that's my spiel. Please be comfortable enough with yourself to not be threatened. You don't need to be threatened by anyone. You are enough. What you're doing has value, and so do your goals and your dreams. Now go turn them into accomplishments. Until the next time, and we can exchange power. Peace.